Yo, what's going on, guys? Today I wanted to go over the new node word changes that just hit live a little over a week ago and give my initial thoughts and feedback regarding the new system. Now, this isn't going to be a guide on how the node wars work, but I will link Black Desert's official guide to the new node wars in the description below if you are interested on how exactly the system works. My first impressions to the global lab patch was hopeful, but also a bit concerned for the longevity of the new system. I thought the change would bring a spark to a lot of the guilds and raise the activity of the node wars, but I was definitely not expecting that hype to last too long. I predicted the system would have about 2 weeks until people dropped out of the honeymoon phase and went back to being semi-AFK, but obviously these were all just predictions, and I was still hoping for the best for when we did finally get the change. So moving on to the actual pros and cons and what I think may need to be changed or adjust with the new node war system, I'll start with the pros first, just so we get the positives right away. So the first thing is it's definitely low maintenance for guild's leadership. You don't have to do a lot of prep. You basically just apply and you are good to go for the rest of the day. And then you find out, just 15 minutes before. You don't have to sweat, scouts, defense team too much. I mean, you do need people in annexes if you take a fort, but it's definitely a lot less hassle than it has been in the past, which is great for leadership, and it, can protect people from burnout or just being overworked in a game that doesn't give them a whole lot back. This also means that there's virtually no politicking when it comes to the new system, which is also a lot of hassle that people would have to spend hours and sometimes even days ahead of time of node wars to set them up and get everything sorted out, which side people were on, which guilds got what the teams were, if a team dropped out, who could replace them. So it definitely is a lot less hassle and a lot less stress off of, the officers and leadership of these guilds, which is great. Another thing that I think the new system got right and is on the right track for is lowering player caps. They've already done one reduction of the player caps once on Global Labs, bringing uncapped down to 75 or 70, 75, yeah. Medea and Valencia down to 50, and then the Balanos and Serenity down to 30. I think 75 is still a bit hard for guilds to constantly cap for some of these guilds. There's only about 3 on NA that I can think of that can consistently always cap 75, so it's on the right track, but I think there's still a little bit more that can be done with that. And then the best change about the new node war system, in my opinion, I think in most players' opinions, is the rewards. You went from making, not a whole lot of money based on the consumables you were spending in a node war from the node war shop, and you basically only got a good reward if you won, which only one guild could win. So you make about a bill, I'd say maybe, probably less for some people depending on the consumables, a node war win, and that was only, say if there was a 4v4, only one guild is making that. The rest are making, not even 500 mil each for each player. So now you went from making, 2 to 300 mil for a loss to making 2 to 3 bill for a win. And obviously there can be multiple winners depending on how many participants there are, but that is just a fantastic change that finally you're basically getting rewarded for PvPing on par with grinding. If you lose, you still make, a considerable amount less, but it's still far more than you would get with the old system. You make on uncapped, I think 500 mil for a loss, and the scrolls you get were great, although I do think they are removing those, which is unfortunate. The scrolls were a good change as well for the monster damage. I do think no matter what changes ever with this system, if there are major changes that happen with all this feedback, I think no matter what, these rewards should be set in stone, that they should not be touched really. The only thing that I would have criticism to is, like I said, the scrolls. They changed the monster damage scroll to a family buff that I think only works in the region where you won the node war, and I think that's just not nearly as good as the old scroll where you could pop it whenever you wanted for 10 hours and you got plus 25 for one on uncapped. And then I'm not aware of the other values, but I think that was just a bit more convenient and felt more rewarding than the family buff that only works on the region where you won. So those are my pros and all the good things I think that came of the new system. Now moving on to the cons, this might be a bit more lengthy, might be yapping some, but first and foremost, the competitive node war scene is dead as we know it right now. There's basically no way to get any competitive node wars for sure. It is basically just a casual node war scene or casual node war system, which, some people might have that as their pro rather than it being a con. But for me, being in a, top 2 guild in the scene, it is a major bash to what I node war for. What my reason for PvPing in this game is to be competitive and push to be the best. And this system does not help that at all, basically, because there's no way of knowing who I can fight, and there's just no guarantee I can fight anybody, honestly, with uncapped at the moment. Like I said, I did think this system had about 2 weeks until it was dead. That was my first prediction. Almost at the 2 week mark. It's not exactly dead, but uncapped right now is dead. The Medea, the 50 mans and the 30 mans are very much alive still, but uncapped is completely dead, which is what most of the top guilds care about, at least the top three. So that's definitely a big hit to thinking that, this is something that could be competitive and last a while, where we could actually push and grind to be like a better guild or just a better player. Definitely feels like it's lost that competitive edge, which is a bummer for me personally. Like I said, that might be a pro for other people, but for me, being a competitive player, trying to be a top player, that's a big hit for this new system. To kind of piggyback off that as well, the reason some of this competitiveness is dead is due to the RNG. So as of now, you apply to 2 regions. Well, you apply to 3 options: Balano, Serendia, Medea, Valencia, or Camasilvia and Calphion. There is no way of guaranteeing you get on a certain region. So say 10 guilds apply to uncapped. It's gonna split most likely. I don't know if it's guaranteed, so correct me if I'm wrong, somebody in the comments maybe. 5 guilds are going to be on each region. I don't think there's a possibility to be 4 and 6, but those guilds are going to be split. So there's no way of knowing, like, if I want to fight let's just say, like, X guild. There's no guarantee that I can fight X guild because I might be placed on Calphion and they might be placed in Camasilvia, and the guilds that I might have on my region might just be stick guilds, might just be PvE guilds, and there's no way that I can, like, guarantee a real fight versus real players that also want to PvP me. So that's where I see a kind of glaring issue with this new system, is that guilds that want to fight each other can't fight each other guaranteed ever. It's kind of just a shot in the dark at the moment. And that's the other big problem with this system, is that snipes basically do not get punished. In the old system, there was a lockout where if you died within 10 minutes of war or did not get 100 kills or deaths, you could not place for the rest of the week. And you did not get a qualifier for siege, assuming you didn't get one before in a previous day. But right now, you just have to get 100 deaths, which is extremely easy. You just need people to show up because there's no fort that you can get locked out from. So you just have somebody or a few people show up, try to snipe a fort, and then, they don't get locked out or anything. But the thing is, it's not even the players that are ruining this. It's just the fact that there is another stick on the region. So if there are 4 guilds on a region, say Camasilvia, there are going to be 2 forts spawned. And say 2 of those guilds aren't real or aren't PvP guilds that are bringing people, that just means that both PvP guilds are probably going to cap their fort, and then, the fight's going to be over. There might not even be a fight. So these sticks are creating ghost forts, essentially, because there's not real guilds, but the system acknowledges them as a real guild, so it needs to add another fort because there's more guilds on it, and it just creates less PvP. So I do wish there was a way to have some better lockout system, that maybe if you don't claim a node like 2 days in a row or something, that you just can't node war for the rest of the week. And I know this just incentivizes trying to compete more, trying to actually cap nodes and fight for them, rather than just trying to RNG a node in the last 3 minutes of the war, which has honestly been a large problem in NA and EU from what I've seen, where guilds will just sit AFK. Sometimes I've even seen in EU, they will literally sit AFK in a town the entire node war until the last 3 minutes of a fort, and then they will just try to fight for the last, 2 or 3 minutes of the timer and try to last hit it for themselves and get rewards and maybe even win the node. Which, the system does have a lot of PvP, but it's definitely not the PvP I think people were looking for, because it's a lot of just body throwing on a fort in the last few seconds of it to try and claim it, rather than having an objective like a fort to defend and attack at all times like the old system was. In this change, I know a lot of people are probably going to be bringing this up. It's one of my biggest things that I want to see changed, and I think I see it a lot in forums, and hear it a lot in the community, is that we want uncapped 30 and 50 mans as an option, not saying only 30 and 50 mans being uncapped, but I know When I started this game, I started playing an uncapped 30-mans, and it was the most fun I've ever had playing BDO in Node Wars. And I think a lot of people have to share that same sentiment, and they just want those type of fights back. Right now, people can't do uncapped like constantly with 75-man, and uncapped just nobody's placing on it besides people trying to get free money. So I think people want the option to do uncapped. They just want to have a variety of caps to do it on. And I think you would see a lot more activity with guilds with uncapped 30 and 50 mans, especially if you do create a system to get like snipe guilds out of the way. You would see a lot more activity, and especially in Balanos and Serendia. I think the 30 mans would be popping off like crazy if they were uncapped. And I still think you should have cap for some people, like have a T1 option like we've always had. I'm not trying to take that away from people and just try to, abuse gear or anything like that. But I just think it's something that you gotta listen to the community about, because I know it's something that people have wanted ever since we lost the uncapped 30 mans. I know I've wanted them back ever since they were gone. Now, a change I'm not exactly sure how to fix, but is a major problem right now, is how defense favored these node war systems are. Unless you're significantly stronger than a guild, it is virtually impossible to win a 1v1, and sometimes even a 1v2. There has to be like some power taken from owning a fort, otherwise it'll just kill the uncapped scene further, just because there's so few guilds applying to them. So there's only 2 or 3 guilds on each region. It's going to feel miserable to not own the fort, basically. I think the last thing that I have to mention is, again, regarding the fort, and specifically the question mark fort, which is the fort that is unknown when it times out. I think there has to be some system change with that. Right now, it is whoever owns it as it times out wins the node, and I think right now it needs to at least change the increments and when it ticks. So right now it ticks every minute, and so it could end at 58, 59, 34, 36, etc., etc. Any minute it can end. I think it should be changed to at least every 5 minutes or maybe even every 10 minutes, just so there's a little bit more certainty. And I think there has to be a change on how the owner is declared. I don't think it should be who owns the longest, just because I think there is so much inherent advantage from claiming it first. You're going to automatically get yourself like 15 to 20 minutes of owning the fort. So maybe if it's whoever does the most damage to it, I'm not exactly sure what I would change about it, but I do think at the very least the increments of when the fort ticks and ends should change, just so there's a bit more certainty rather than thinking it can end quite literally any second, basically. That's pretty much it for me, though. I think I share similar thoughts and feedback to a majority of the community, so hopefully this video does find the right audience to inspire some change. I mean, the NA and EU node war scene is losing players every single day, and it's probably going to be losing guilds next, or very soon, if there is no change to the current system. But thank you guys for watching. I hope this gives some insight to the community about what should change. The rewards are great. The system in place right now needs some major tweaks, and hopefully there's some other people speaking up about it that can get some change done with this. But thank you guys for watching, and have a good day.